The mysterious package that made a billionaire chase her across 3 countries. She opens a package meant for someone else and finds something that will change everything. The name on the box catches her eye: Damien Cross, tech billionaire, venture capitalist, the man who just bought her company. But what's inside makes her blood run cold. Sophia Martinez had exactly 3 rules for surviving as a junior architect at Sterling Designs. Keep your head down, never miss a deadline, and absolutely never get involved in office drama. So when the delivery guy thrust a sleek black box into her hands that Tuesday morning, she should have checked the label twice. But her phone was ringing, her coffee was spilling, and the courier was already gone. The box sat on her desk for an hour before curiosity won. It was addressed to someone on the 40th floor, the executive level she'd never been to. But the seal was broken, probably damaged in shipping. Just a quick peek to see if it needed special handling. Inside was a USB drive, a handwritten note, and a photograph that made her heart stop. The photo showed 2 men shaking hands outside a warehouse. One was Damien Cross, looking younger, maybe 20. The other was her father. The father who died when she was 12. The father whose death was ruled an accident. The note read in elegant script: "The truth about the fire. You were right to suspect. I'm sorry I waited so long. She's in danger now too." Sophia's hands trembled. What fire? What truth? And who was in danger? Before she could process any of it, her office phone rang. A voice she didn't recognize, smooth and male, said only, "You opened something that wasn't yours. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't run. Running makes it worse." The line went dead. Sophia grabbed her bag, the box, and headed for the stairs. She didn't know what she'd stumbled into, but every instinct screamed danger. She made it to the lobby before she saw him. Damien Cross himself, striding through the glass doors with 2 security guards. His eyes locked onto hers across the crowded space, and something flickered there. Recognition? Warning? She couldn't tell. Sophia did the only thing she could think of. She walked straight toward him, clutching the box like a shield. When she was close enough to speak without shouting, she said, "I think this belongs to you. But I need to know why there's a photo of my dead father inside." The security guards moved forward, but Damien held up one hand. His face was unreadable, all sharp angles and controlled intensity. Up close, he was more striking than his magazine photos suggested. Dark eyes that missed nothing, a jaw that could cut glass, and an air of coiled danger that made her want to step back and lean closer at the same time. "Not here," he said quietly. "My office. Now. Unless you want everyone in this lobby to hear about your father's connection to the Cross family." It wasn't a request. Sophia found herself in the private elevator to the 40th floor, alone with a man who might know the truth about her father's death. The elevator was silent except for the soft hum of machinery. Damien stood perfectly still, but she could feel the tension radiating from him. "You weren't supposed to get that package," he said finally. "It was meant for me. Someone made a mistake." Sophia kept her voice steady. "What fire was the note talking about? And why is my father in this photo with you?" He looked at her then, really looked at her. "How much do you know about how your father died?" Everything inside her went cold. It was an accident. A warehouse fire. He was working late, inspecting a site. The fire started in the electrical room. They said it was faulty wiring. They lied. The elevator doors opened, but Sophia couldn't move. Damien gently took her elbow, guiding her into a reception area of breathtaking luxury. His office was all windows and clean lines, the city spreading out below like a promise. He closed the door behind them and locked it. "Sit down," he said, pouring water from a crystal decanter. "What I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know." Sophia sat, clutching the box. "Start with why you have a photo with my father." Damien leaned against his desk, arms crossed. "Your father, Marcus Martinez, was an architect. One of the best. 15 years ago, he discovered something in the plans for a building project. Something that could have destroyed my father's company. Something worth killing for." The room spun. "Your father killed mine." "No. My father died 3 months before yours. Heart attack. But the men who worked for him, the ones who stood to lose everything if the truth came out, they're the ones who started that fire." He moved to the window, his reflection ghost-like in the glass. Your father came to me before he died. I was barely 20, trying to hold together a company I didn't understand. He told me everything. He wanted to go public, expose the corruption. I begged him to wait, to let me gather evidence first. I was naive. I thought we had time. Sophia's throat was tight. He died 2 days later. Yes. And I've spent 15 years trying to prove it wasn't an accident. That package, the USB drive, it contains testimony from someone who was there. Someone who finally decided to talk. Damien turned back to her. The note says you're in danger because whoever sent this knows you're Marcus Martinez's daughter. If they think you know what he knew. But I don't know anything, Sophia said. Exactly. Which means we need to find out what's on that drive before they realize you're not a threat. Or before they decide to eliminate you anyway. He held out his hand. I need you to trust me. I know that's asking a lot from a stranger. But I made your father a promise. I promise to find the truth. I won't let his daughter become another casualty. Sophia looked at his hand, at the determination in his eyes, at the photo of her father young and alive and standing next to a boy who would become the man in front of her. She took his hand. What do we do? First, we see what's on this drive. Then we figure out who sent it and why now, after 15 years. He moved to his computer, inserted the USB. Whatever we find, we face it together. Your father saved my life once. I owe him this. I owe you this. The screen filled with files. Documents, photos, video testimony. Sophia moved closer, reading over his shoulder. She caught his scent, something expensive and understated, cedar and citrus. Focus, she told herself. Your father's death. Not how good this stranger smells. But as they dug through the evidence, as the conspiracy unfolded in front of them, Sophia realized nothing about this situation was going to be simple. Not the truth about her father. Not the danger they were now in together. And definitely not the way her heart raced every time Damien Cross looked at her with those intense, haunted eyes. The first video file made everything worse. A man in his 60s, gaunt and tired, spoke directly to the camera. My name is Robert Chen. I was the foreman on the Sterling Tower project. I'm dying now, cancer, so I'm going to tell the truth I should have told 15 years ago. Marcus Martinez found structural flaws in the plans. Flaws that could cause catastrophic failure. When he reported it, certain people panicked. I was told to deal with it. I hired someone to start the fire. I've lived with that guilt every day since. Sophia couldn't breathe. Damien paused the video, gave her a moment. There's more, he said gently. Do you want to stop? She shook her head. Keep going. The next hour was a deep dive into corruption that made her sick. Names, dates, payments. A conspiracy that reached beyond just her father's death. Buildings that were approved despite safety violations. Inspectors who were paid off. A network of greed that had killed at least 7 people over the years, all made to look like accidents. This is bigger than I thought, Damien said finally. If this goes public, it brings down half the construction industry in this city. Sophia stood, pacing. Then we make it public. My father died trying to do the right thing. We finish what he started. It's not that simple. Look at this. He pulled up a document. 3 of the men named in these files are now city officials. 1 is a congressman. They have resources, power. The moment we move against them, they'll bury us. So what? We just sit on this? Let them get away with murder? No. We're smart about it. We build an airtight case. We protect you first, then we burn their world down. He met her eyes. But I need you to understand the risk. These aren't people who hesitate. Your father learned that. So did the man who sent this package. Robert Chen is already dead. The video is dated 3 weeks ago. By now, they probably know he talked. A chill ran down Sophia's spine. How do we know they're not watching us right now? We don't. Which is why you're not going home tonight. You're staying somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't find you. Where? Damien's jaw tightened. With me. Sophia laughed, but it came out shaky. I'm not moving in with you. I don't even know you. You know enough. You know I've spent 15 years trying to honor your father's sacrifice. You know I'm probably the only person in this city who wants justice as much as you do. And you know that right now, I'm the best chance you have of staying alive long enough to see this through." He was right. She hated that he was right. "Fine. But this is temporary. Just until we figure out who's behind this." "Agreed." He grabbed his coat. "Pack a bag. We'll stop by your apartment with security, get what you need. From now on, you don't go anywhere alone." As they left his office, Sophia's phone buzzed. An unknown number had sent a text. "Nice to finally meet Marcus's little girl. Your father was a hero. Don't make his sacrifice meaningless by being stupid. Stop digging." Her hands shook, showing Damien the message. His face went hard. "They are watching. We leave now." The next few hours were a blur. Damien's security team moved with military precision, sweeping her apartment, packing her things, checking for surveillance. His penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel on the Upper East Side, with security that rivaled a government facility. Sophia felt like she'd fallen into someone else's life. The guest room he showed her was bigger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Central Park. The bathroom had heated floors and a shower that looked like it belonged in a luxury spa. "Make yourself comfortable," Damien said from the doorway. "We'll order dinner, go through the files more carefully. Figure out our next move." Sophia turned to face him. "Why are you really doing this?" "The truth." He was quiet for a long moment. "Your father didn't just find corruption in building plans. He found out my father was part of it. Not the murders, he didn't know about those. But the bribes, the violations, yes. Marcus came to me first, before going public. He gave me a chance to make it right. He believed people deserved second chances." "And did you? Make it right?" "I tried. I cleaned house, fired everyone involved, implemented new protocols. But the rot went deeper than I knew. And by the time I understood the scope, your father was dead." Damien's voice was raw. "I was 20 years old and drowning in a company I didn't want, trying to atone for sins that weren't mine. Your father's death, that guilt, it shaped everything I became. So when you ask why I'm doing this, the answer is simple. I owe him. And now I owe you." The vulnerability in his voice caught her off guard. This wasn't the ice-cold billionaire from the magazines. This was someone carrying weight he'd never asked for. Just like her. They ordered Thai food and spread the files across his dining table. As they worked, Sophia learned things about this stranger that surprised her. He was funny, in a dry way that caught her off guard. He was brilliant, connecting dots she would have missed. And he was kind, making sure she ate, checking if she needed breaks, never pushing when she got emotional reading about her father. Around midnight, exhausted and overwhelmed, Sophia found herself on his balcony. The city glittered below, beautiful and dangerous. Damien joined her, 2 glasses of wine in hand. "You should try to sleep," he said. "Tomorrow we meet with my legal team." "I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see my father. I was 12 when he died. I barely remember his voice now. All I have are the stories my mother told me before she passed. He was a hero to her. To me. And this whole time, the truth was buried. He was a hero," Damien said firmly. "What he tried to do, standing up to powerful people, that takes courage most people don't have." He paused. "My father was complicated. Brilliant businessman, terrible human. When he died, I found journals. He knew the company was corrupt. He chose profit over ethics every single time. Your father was everything mine wasn't." They stood in silence, 2 people bound by tragedy and determination. Sophia was acutely aware of how close he was, the warmth radiating from him in the cool night air. This was dangerous in a different way than the conspiracy they were facing. This pull toward him, this connection forming too fast. "I should go to bed," she said, not moving. "Yes," Damien agreed, also not moving. Their eyes met. Something electric passed between them. Sophia knew she should walk away. This was too complicated, too messy. But when Damien reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her breath caught. "This is a bad idea," she whispered. "Terrible idea," he agreed. But neither of them moved. The moment stretched, full of possibility and danger. Then Damien stepped back. "You're under my protection. I won't take advantage of that. No matter how much I might want to. Heat flooded through her. What if I want you to? His eyes darkened. Then you tell me that when this is over. When you're safe. When you're not vulnerable. Ask me then, Sophia Martinez, and I'll give you any answer you want. It was the most romantic and frustrating thing anyone had ever said to her. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and went inside. But sleep was impossible. She lay in the expensive sheets, mind racing with everything. The conspiracy, her father, the danger, and the man down the hall who looked at her like she was something precious. The next morning, Damien's legal team confirmed their worst fears. The men implicated in the files were powerful, connected, and ruthless. Taking them down would require perfect evidence and perfect timing. One mistake and the whole case would disappear. Sophia spent the next week living in Damien's penthouse, working with lawyers and investigators, building their case. They fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee together, reviewing evidence, strategy sessions, late dinners where they talked about everything except the danger surrounding them. She learned he played piano when he couldn't sleep. That he turned down Harvard Law to save his father's company. That his favorite book was The Count of Monte Cristo because he understood the desire for justice that consumed you. He learned she could sketch anything from memory. That she'd put herself through architecture school after her mother died. That she'd chosen Sterling Designs specifically because her father had worked there, wanting to feel close to him somehow. The attraction between them grew stronger, more impossible to ignore. Stolen glances across the dining table. Accidental touches that lasted too long. The way he said her name, soft and careful, like it meant something. But true to his word, Damien never crossed that line. He remained the perfect gentleman, even as the tension between them became almost unbearable. 10 days after the package arrived, their investigators found the connection they needed. Security camera footage from the night of the fire, hidden in police archives, showing 2 men entering the warehouse an hour before it started. One of them was now a city councilman. "This is it," Damien said, staring at the screen. "This is what we need." "We go public tomorrow," his lawyer added. "Press conference, hand everything to the FBI, full immunity for Sophia in exchange for testimony." It was finally happening. Justice for her father. But that night, as she packed her things to return to her apartment, Sophia felt hollow. This was the end. She'd go back to her life. Damien would go back to his. They'd been thrown together by tragedy, but that didn't make it real. She found him on the balcony, staring at the city. "I guess this is it," she said. "Tomorrow everything changes." "Yes." He didn't turn around. "You'll be safe. They can't touch you once this goes public." "That's good." Sophia moved to stand beside him. "Thank you. For everything. For protecting me. For honoring your promise to my father." It was the right thing to do. His voice was carefully neutral. Sophia's heart cracked. So this was how it ended. With polite distance and things left unsaid. She turned to go back inside. "Wait." Damien's hand caught her wrist. When she looked back, his careful control had shattered. "I told you to ask me when this was over. When you were safe. We're not there yet. Tomorrow might go wrong. 1,000 things could happen." "Then ask me," Sophia said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Ask me what you want to know. Do you feel this? This impossible thing between us? Or is it just proximity and adrenaline?" "It's real," she said. "For me, it's real." "Thank God." He pulled her close, and finally, his lips met hers. The kiss was everything their week of restraint promised. Desperate and tender, fierce and gentle. Sophia's hands tangled in his hair as he backed her against the railing, the city sprawling below them like a witness. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Damien rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that since you walked straight toward me in the lobby, brave and terrified and absolutely magnificent." "I've wanted you to since you promised to protect me," Sophia admitted. "Even though I knew I shouldn't." "We still shouldn't." He kissed her again. "This is complicated. Dangerous. You work for my company. We're in the middle of taking down a conspiracy. There are 100 reasons this is a terrible idea. Name one reason we should stop." Damien smiled against her lips. "I can't think of a single one." They stayed on the balcony for hours, talking and kissing and planning a future that suddenly seemed possible. When dawn broke over Manhattan, they were still there, wrapped in each other, ready to face whatever came next. The press conference was chaos. Media from every outlet, FBI agents, protesters angry at the corruption being exposed. Sophia stood beside Damien as he laid out the evidence, his voice steady and sure. When it was her turn to speak, she looked directly at the cameras. My father died trying to do the right thing. Today, we finish what he started. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Arrests were made. The city councilman tried to run and was caught at the airport. Others implicated turned on each other, desperate to cut deals. Within a month, the entire conspiracy had collapsed. Sophia returned to work at Sterling Designs, but everything was different. She was different. Damien was different. They dated properly now, dinners and museums and walks through Central Park. He introduced her to his world of galas and benefits. She introduced him to her world of late-night diners and rooftop sketching sessions. 6 months after the package arrived, Damien asked her to move in properly. Not as protection, not as obligation, but as partners choosing each other. A year later, on the anniversary of her father's death, they visited his grave together. Sophia placed flowers and told him everything. About the justice they'd won. About the love she'd found. About how his sacrifice had led her to someone who understood loss and chose hope anyway. He'd like you, she told Damien as they walked back to the car. My father had good instincts about people. He trusted you with the truth. I think he'd be happy I trust you with my heart. I hope so, Damien said, pulling her close. Because I plan to spend the rest of my life earning that trust. He kissed her there, in the cemetery where her father rested, surrounded by the city he'd tried to make safer. It wasn't the ending Sophia had imagined when she opened that mysterious package. It was better. Because sometimes the worst moments lead to the best destinations. Sometimes opening the wrong package reveals exactly what you need to find. And sometimes justice and love arrive together, delivered by fate and a mislabeled box. 2 years later, at their wedding, Sophia wore her mother's dress and carried jasmine. Damien wore his father's watch, redeemed now by the good they'd done in both their parents' names. The first dance was to a song about second chances and new beginnings. As they swayed together, Sophia thought about the chain of events that led here. A delivery mistake. A dangerous conspiracy. A promise kept across 15 years. What are you thinking? Damien murmured. That I'm grateful for mislabeled packages and the men brave enough to honor their promises. He smiled. I'm grateful for women brave enough to open mysterious boxes and demand the truth. They kissed as their guests cheered, 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of tragedy and built something beautiful. Above them, in a sky full of stars, Sophia liked to think her father was smiling. His sacrifice hadn't been meaningless. His daughter was safe, happy, loved. And the truth he'd died for had finally set them all free. The mysterious package had changed everything. Just not in the way anyone expected. Sometimes the best deliveries are the ones that arrive exactly when you need them, even if the address is wrong.